Here we are in this week's assignment module, and these assignments are due Sunday, September 1st. Some of the things you'll be learning about this week are using tools to create basic shapes and working with various drawing modes. You'll learn how to scale and duplicate objects and learn how to apply a variety of transformations to your objects. This week you'll be working through 3 chapters in the textbook, chapters 3, 4, and 5. And you can just click these links, which will take you to the chapter in the library database. There's chapter 3. And again, I've included zip folders with the lesson files. Just right-click that, save the zip folder, and unzip it on your computer so you can use those files. You may want to have a look at this week's video tutorials to help you understand the various tools and techniques that we will be learning. So chapter 3, and then chapter 4, and these videos take you step by step through the textbook. Also, be sure to have a look at the videos to finish up your first skill builder, the campground icons, which you'll be turning in this week. You may want to have a look at some of these lectures to help you understand the skills and tools we'll be using. And again, you'll be submitting your completed icons. Just click that link above. The student side looks a little bit different, but there is an area where you can attach your Illustrator file. And this assignment is worth 23.75 points. Be sure to have a look at those videos to finish them up, and hopefully your icons will look something like these. This week, you'll begin your first project, which is a subway map. Click this link, and that will take you into the requirements. You're going to be making an imaginary subway map, which isn't due until September 22nd, so you have plenty of time to work on it. It can be for the city you live in, have lived in, or are familiar with, or it could be completely imaginary. Students have been very creative with this assignment. A subway map is a type of information graphic in the form of a schematic diagram, rather than being geographically accurate. And in that way, subway maps compress time and space. So be sure to read about subway maps here to get an idea of what they're really about. These are the project requirements and grading rubric. These are the technical competency requirements, artistic form, and professional presentation. And these address the student learning outcomes for this class. This assignment is worth 150 points total. Here are a few examples of subway maps in case you're not familiar with them. Also, be sure to have a look at these subway map resources. These are links to various resources about subway maps and transit maps in general. So if you're not familiar with subway maps, be sure to have a look at these sites and links. There are various links in their maps. Also, be sure to have a look at this video on Massimo Vignelli's design of the New York City subway map. Massimo Vignelli was a great graphic designer who only died a few years ago, and he was hired in the early 70s to design a subway map for New York. And it became quite controversial, and after a few years, they unfortunately stopped using it. But it was quite a story in the history of subway maps. And there are a few more articles here as well that talk about the controversy that Mr. Vignelli created with his subway map. There are a number of books about subway maps that you may be interested in. This week, you will be doing some research for the first phase of your project. And you'll be finding 2 examples of subway maps and then post the JPEGs of them to the discussion board. And you'll compare and contrast the maps by answering these questions. And again, this assignment is worth 10 points. Just click this link that will take you into the discussion board and click in the reply field, and you can post your images and the answers to the questions. I'd really like to have you take a look at some of these lectures in particular. One is the PDF of Subway Map Design. Just click that link and that will open up a PDF of a little lecture on the history of subway map design. The first subway was designed in London in 1863, and people soon realized that they needed a different type of map to help passengers navigate the underground system. And it wasn't a geographic map, it turned out to be a schematic map designed by an electrical engineer who actually worked for the London Underground. So be sure to have a look at that to understand what the purpose of a subway map is. It's very different than a typical road map because people only need to understand how to get from point A to point B. They don't need to know how long it takes or the distance between 2 points. You might also want to have a look at the lecture on information graphics. Gives you a little historical background on the development of information graphics. We think of pie charts and such as things that have always been around, but there was a time when those didn't exist. And the way information was presented graphically was quite an innovative idea back in the 17th and 18th centuries, and even earlier, as you can see here. So be sure to have a look at those to help you understand what a subway map is and what information graphics are. Have a look at this week's Illustrator artist, Denis Sabatier. He does some really interesting things with Illustrator, as you can see. And I've included a bibliography of links to various things that you may be interested in, magazines and tutorials about Illustrator. So there's this week's assignment. Again, you're going to be posting the research for your subway map, worth 10 points. You'll be turning in your Skill Builder 1, the campground icons, which is worth 23.75 points. So that's this week's assignment. If you have any questions or problems, be sure to post them in the troubleshooting forum or send me an email. Have fun!